We really appreciate your time, your patience, and your commitment to this class. And as usual, we meet every Saturday in our Africa Unification class. So our Saturday class are actually geared to the unification of Africa. And we meet every Saturday to discuss issues surrounding the unification of Africa, which include we analyze basically current affairs in Africa, which include news in Africa, to assess whether the continent is moving towards the unification. Apart from this, we equally also have regular presentations or with various guest speakers who do join us. But basically, this Saturday class is meant for us to actually assess and analyze the situation in Africa in terms of the news, whether the forces at play are towards the unification or moving far away from the unification of Africa. So once again, feel most welcome. I see all members present from Sister Joan, from Kenya, Raspara from South Africa, Brother Pablo from the Caribbean, Grenada, Brother Kwame, I see Brother Mafole is joining us from Lesotho, and all those who will be watching our recording today, feel most welcome. So today, basically, we start with sharing what you call the news update. I want to get from your side where you are, either in the Caribbean or in the continent. What news do you have that are either towards the unification of us as a Black people or Africa, or they're moving far away from our unification, either leading towards our division or war amongst us, or their collaborative measures that are taking us towards the unification of Africa? And that is what we actually deal with in the first part. In the next around 40 minutes or 45 minutes, we'll be getting a presentation from Brother Mafole, who has already joined us. We'll be discussing on the readiness for change as we gear towards changing and gear towards the unification of Africa. How ready are we, and what do we need to do in the order for us to be fully prepared for the unification of Africa? So once again, thank you very much. So let me start with Sister Joan. Sister Joan, updates from Kenya. I know I'm in Kenya, but I'd like to give you an opportunity to share with us first. Are you seeing unification of either the Kenyans or the East Africa community, or what other update do you have for us from?
About nature being fractal is that we can use patterns in nature to understand other patterns that exist because patterns repeat themselves. So now if you want to look at a pattern that's playing itself out on this planet right now that would give us insight about what is going on. So I said, look inside a caterpillar that's growing. And a caterpillar represents, let's say, 7 billion cells living under the same skin. Each cell is a citizen. And guess what? They're like people like us. They're working every day. Cells in the digestive system are taking the food and breaking it down and making products out of it. Some cells are the motility cells. Those are the cells that move the caterpillar around. So structures of like our highways with trucks and vehicles carrying materials all over the place, something like that. Cells of the immune system are taking their job of protecting the system. Respiration systems making sure fresh oxygen is being delivered. So all the cells have jobs. The caterpillar's growing. If you were in there and a reporter, you look around and go, yeah, the economy is going great, guys. It's growing every day. Everybody's working. Full employment. This is the kind of thing we love to see. How much are we growing every day? Some percent every day. And then the caterpillar reaches a certain stage of growth. And at that stage of growth, it just stops eating. It can't take it anymore. At this point, it's reaching a maximum size. Then if you're a cell inside that community, imagine what would happen. That you're on the job and all of a sudden there's less food coming in and you're a digestive cell and you say, well, man, the work is slowing down here. The factory is slowing down. Now all of a sudden it gets to such a low level that many cells get laid off of the job. Now there's cells not working. Why? There's not enough food coming in to keep them all working. And as the food shuts down, then the other jobs are affected because if there's no food, then there's no energy. And all the systems start laying off cells. And pretty soon, there's massive chaos under the skin of a caterpillar. Why? The systems stop growing, the cells are out of work, nothing is evolving, and the thing seems falling apart. If you were a cell in that caterpillar body at that time, you would look around and say, oh my God, our world is coming to an end. And yet, in the midst of those billions of cells, in among them are other cells that are genetically identical to them, no different. But they think differently. They respond to the signals differently. These cells have the interesting name called imaginal cells. And these imaginal cells come up with new visions. And what happens is, in the midst of all this chaos, when all the other cells are running around thinking the end of the world is coming, the new imaginal cells are laying out new ideas, new visions, a new plan, a new scheme, a new way of life. And around these ideas, the cells reorganize and they start to create new massive organizations to create something much more fabulous than the previous system. A system that is much more sustainable, a system with a higher level of evolution. And that system they're constructing called the butterfly. So there's a transition from an old world of caterpillar with an old belief system and an old way of life that was no longer sustainable. And therefore, you have two choices in this world right now. You can retain your caterpillar status and go, oh my God, the sky is falling, and be in fear. Or you can say, the caterpillar is going, I want to build the butterfly. Why? Because if I become active and positive in the process of building the butterfly, I'm engaged, I'm working, we're creating the future. If I sit there and bemoan the loss of the caterpillar, then I'm making myself sick and everything around me. Why? I'm not contributing to our evolution. And so, where are we? We're at the demise of the caterpillar stage of civilization and the rise of the butterfly.
So, what we've just looked at is lessons from nature. How do we see our relationships amongst ourselves? Do we see enemies? Do we see colleagues that we collaborate with, that we carry out value-adding collaborations with? Or looking at the question of the caterpillar and butterfly, where are we now? Are we, because as Lipton says, we are at a stage, at a transitional stage, where we want to transform and metamorphosize into a united continent, a united people. Now the question is, what type of cells are we? Are we those that panic and see resources as depleting? Do we start pointing fingers at each other? Or do we learn to work together? Do we learn to innovate and transform into freedom? Freedom of the type that is illustrated with the butterfly, where we are then able to perform, where we are able to become highly vibrant. Now, this is the challenge that we are looking at currently, moving from our coloniality into decoloniality and being free. And it says we need, as we are all saying, we need to reconcile, then unify. And when we have unified, now we need to rise to another level of being innovative and productive. So looking at that, we want to understand what it is that will make us able to do that. Let me share the presentation. Beyond Conflict is a group, an association of experts, professionals, scientists, and peace-building experts. Say that what they've discovered is that any peace-building, unification, or development program that does not consider how our brains, our minds, how our subconscious minds interact, the processes there, how they interact with our conscious awareness to shape our thoughts, to shape our behavior. If we do not take that into consideration, then we will get consequences that we were not looking for. Now, to be able to do that, we need to appreciate how our brains are built up. and our minds. Our subconscious minds that are built out of our belief systems control 95% of what we think consciously and how we behave. And to be able to change our behavior, our thoughts and our behaviors, we've got to understand these processes. That the subconscious mind is built up of belief systems, beliefs that we start building right from birth or right from conception. And we develop as we get nurtured and mature into adults. The beliefs then come together to become belief systems, and they constitute our values, and they build up into our culture. How the things that we see as helping us to be able to survive and to thrive. That is the culture. A lot of people think that culture is what we've been doing for a long time. No, culture is actually what we have learned, how we have learned to cope with our life challenges. That has been successful. So culture is something that we need to be looking at, reviewing, learning consciously, that it is actually improving our lives. So we can't say that we have a culture of resistance, because it does not help us, does it? Culture then will help us to respond to our environment, the volatile world that we live in, the uncertain world, the complex and ambiguous world that we live in. When we get challenges from the environment, the external environment, or even from our subconscious minds, because of the beliefs that we have developed, then we develop perceptions around the particular stimulus or challenge. And that perception becomes the key that will open up. This is our DNA with a zip there, according to Lipton. The right perception will be able to open up the zip to write new thoughts and new behaviors on our genes right inside the DNA. And how does that happen? I take the metaphor of a bee. A bee helps to cross-pollinate our flowers so that they can bear fruit. When the flower has nectar right at the inside there, the nectar attracts bees. And as a bee comes in with its woolly skin, it brushes against the male pollen and then deposits it on the ovals of the female flower, pollen of the flower. And that is how they cross-fertilize, and then we get fruit. In the case of our healing and unification, what it says is we must create incentives for people who want to change. Without the incentives that are related, directly are consistent with their priorities, changes may be very difficult. As we can see, even our attendance is still very low on the things that we are looking at concerning unification of Africa, which means that we've got a lot of work to do for readiness to change, readiness to transform. So when we have the right perception, we develop the right perception, the perception of love, then the perception opens up the DNA, as I said, and it writes messages on the surface of the genes. Hence, the discipline of genes, of biology, because we are biology. And when we do that, then we get our thoughts properly, we get the right behavior that we want, then we respond to the challenge in the proper manner. And when we do that, we then get the intended outcomes. But according to Beyond Conflict, if we do not consider all of these internal processes that shape our behavior, if we just use maybe social science information and knowledge, then we don't get to understand the source that shape our behavior and responses. So without considering the source, for instance, as Professor Fombart says, if we just look at constitutions and systems, what then we get is outcomes that we did not expect. And the processes that we are going to be dealing with, we are going to be looking at how the brain is developed, how it can be impacted, and how colonialism decided to impact it, to repress it, so that we can be controllable. So our brain is divided into two parts: the right hemisphere, the left hemisphere. The primitive brain that we share with other animals, and the higher thinking brain. The primitive brain is at the back of our heads, and the higher thinking brain in the prefrontal cortex is at the front of the head, the forehead. But how then are we naturally wired? We have the third eye there, which also needs to be opened up, to be decalcified, which colonialism calcifies. It makes it dull so that we cannot see higher things. But we are wired so that blood can flow to the lower brain, or our animal brain, our primitive brain at the back, and also flow equally to the upper brain. Some people, either by heritage or by being trained the way we are nurtured, will use the right hemisphere more than the left hemisphere. Some people, because of their training or their heredity, will use the left hemisphere. The right hemisphere is concerned with the big picture, with creativity. So the type of training is found in what? In the arts, in creativity, innovativeness, and the like. The left-hand side is concerned with detail, and the type of training that we get maybe in law, maybe in accounting and studies like those, use this side of the brain more than the other one. But it is possible to train for either. What we need to do is to be able to understand which side of the brain we are using more, and then train the other one so that we can use the whole of our brains. Now, what colonialism did, which was actually done a long time ago, with the example of making conceptions of our own gods, our own punitive gods, gods who punish us, and depending because of the fear that we are born with. Because all of us are born with fear. We'll be talking about that again a bit later. We are wired for fear and love, two emotions. And the fear emotion helps us to be able to defend and protect ourselves quickly. The love emotion is concerned primarily with our growth. And we will be looking at that. Now, let's see how colonialism impacted the way our brains function. Colonialism, slavery, even constrict, they make our bodies and brains to produce chemicals that constrict brain, that constricts blood from flowing to the upper brain, the thinking brain. Most of the blood, when we are in fear, when we are colonized, flows to the fear brain, to the primitive brain. And our work there is to defend ourselves, to fight, flee, freeze, or to fawn. In other words, we are either fighting or we are running away, protecting ourselves, or because we are so scared, we freeze. We put our heads in the sand and hope for the best. Or we try to appease the one who is repressing us. And when we are like that, then we are an ordinary nation, like, or ordinary people who are repressed and controlled by others. We get brain sicknesses like anosognosia. Anosognosia is also called hidden in plain sight, where we do not have the correct and accurate self-perception. And is characterized by refusing thinking one way and sticking to it, or lack of agency, where we
Brother Mafole, we can't hear you.
Brother Mafole,
we are victims, and therefore we are not able, so we do not stand up, is it?
Yes. Brother Kwame?
Yes, I think Brother Mafole has dropped out, so he'll come back in. The time is 8:11 GMT. Whilst we wait for this thing, presentation, we can start discussing what we've heard so far. Yeah, Brother Coco, can you lead that for us? What we've heard so far. Thank you, Brother Coco. Okay, Coco is not ready. Brother Pigeon.
Brother Mafole is back.
Is he?
Brother
Brother
Joseph.
Joseph. Yeah, Brother Joseph. Yeah, share with us whilst Mafole gets ready to reshare. Thank you.
Are you hearing me, Brother Kwame?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I'm glad. Glad that.
In the meantime, brother, yes, make Brother Mafole co-host whilst he gets ready to share. Yeah, go on, Brother Joseph.
Yeah, I am very glad that this topic was introduced. I'm familiar with Bruce Lipton over 20 years now, and I think we can learn a lot from him. In fact, his journey into that kind of knowledge started in Barbados when he was on a holiday in Barbados. So,
are you referring to Brother Mafole?
No, Bruce Lipton. Bruce Lipton.
Oh, okay.
The one who he quoted, the one who he spoke about the butterfly on the thing. So I'm very glad. Yes. And because we need to understand how the brain works, how the mind works, and so on. Sometimes we don't really understand, so that's why we get in a lot of conflict with each other. Even our diet, for instance, we use a lot of milk, and milk have a lot of effect on people of African and some Asiatic people. And but milk is marketed to the Black people more than any other people. So and nowadays the milk we get basically is, as one Indian scholar, a doctor said a few years ago, a woman doctor, she described it as white poison. So I'm glad that we are raising that. And in that context, I would suggest that, and then we had a brother from Trinidad who was talking some weeks ago about the African religion and that kind of thing. I saw a documentary, well, a presentation by Dr. Ray Higgins, an African-American preacher and scholar, who I think we could study some of what he says in terms of we have to put the woman back where she really is. I mean, at the center of things, we have demoralized the woman, we have marginalized women, and if we I'm saying in sync with what Brother Mafole was saying, we need to also, especially when you talk about culture and so on, we need to put the woman at the center so that we can help the healing process. So I would be willing to work along with anybody to do something around that presentation by Dr. Ray Higgins. I think it's very instructive, sorry. And so you could learn, because we have to broaden the horizon of our people's horizon so that we could be, comprehensive when we're looking at issues that confront us, which sometimes, unfortunately, we only focus on the left brain and we ignore the right brain. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. So, brothers and sisters, Brother Mafole has dropped out. He hasn't come back yet.
No, I haven't dropped out.
The time is he back? Yes, Brother Mafole, you're back.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you share your screen so you can continue whilst we talk? Yeah. Share your screen, and once you are ready, and you get to the page that you want, then you can continue. In the meantime, we are very elated.
Brother Komi, would we be getting a copy of Brother Mafole's presentation? I think it would be very helpful.
Say that again.
Would we be getting a copy of Brother Mafole's presentation?
Right. Yeah. Well,
if we can get it, would be very helpful.
Yeah, we can ask him. He would, as he's sharing it on the screen. It's therefore, it is on the screen, so you can't actually get it because it's on the screen. What Brother Pigeon could do, if anybody wants to, Brother Pigeon. Apart from that, Brother Pigeon, you are able to cut Brother Mafole's presentation only, and anyone who wants that, it can be shared. That can be shared as well. If Brother Mafole is happy that you share his presentation, why not? Brother Mafole, are you happy that your presentation is shared with those here?
The recording, yes. No, the slides I'll not be able to share.
But the recording, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So so he's
told us
what he wants. Sorry?
Do you have my screen now?
Yes. So if you can't put it on slideshow, and then you can continue.
Okay.
I might have some comments to make, but I'll wait until you finish. How long will you? How much longer will you need? It's 8:17.
We'll have a break and a discussion session, and then we can go into the second part after another slide after this one.
Okay, so you want another slide after this, and then discussion.
Yes, sir. Then we can proceed after.
Yes.
Brother Kwame.
I'm listening.
Yeah, we might take only the first part of his presentation today. Then we can discuss it. The next time we can move to, we can even have part 2 of his session on the second slide.
I think so. After we deal with Malawi next week, Brother Mafole can continue the week after that.
For the second slide. Yes.
Yeah. Because listening to him, it's as if this is something that we should really get to grips with. And Brother Joseph has confirmed the importance of the presentation. Brother Mafole, please carry on. Thank you.
Okay, and let me, before I proceed, thank Brother Joseph for his input, because one of the things that is used to repress us is food, our nutrition. So even the milk, now at the end of it, my recommendation is that mothers should be trained, and even fathers, we should all be trained in child rearing and the type of food that we should eat and the children should eat. So thank you very much. I will get to that later. Okay, so the processes that we need to do now is, how do we reverse this situation where colonialism has caused most of the blood to flow to the animal brain and not to the thinking brain? And when we do that, then the situation changes. There will be more blood flowing to the higher brain and less blood flowing to the fear brain. And when that happens, our situation will change into where we become powerful communities of integrity, where there will be harmony, where we can then be able to unite and have a united Africa, where even our performances, the way we think, the way we learn, will also improve very immensely, because we are actually naturally wired for Ubuntu and for high achievements. And that has been locked by colonialism in a process the process that we use, I call building civil learning communities. It is a process that later I will be likening to the way this small Basotho nation was founded, because it was founded out of people who were in a situation, a similar situation than as what our world and our nations are in now, a situation of conflict. But then, fortunately, our leader was healed and transformed and trained into somebody who can put together a nation. So how does this happen? We look at how ordinarily then we may respond to any invitation to change or to the need to change. In responding to the need to change, we need to look at the brain, as I said, but we also need to look at the culture. We need to look at the structures later, the constitutions and the systems. But in this presentation, we'll be looking here, we are focusing on the psychological aspects and cultural aspects. But we also need to have commitment to the process. And it has to be a process that is effective. And what I have done is, I've put together two models, one of Lamorte for readiness. He says that the first step is where people do not want to change, do not want to heal and transform. How do you deal with that? We need to learn how to deal with that. The next step is when they are aware that there's a need to change, how are they thinking? How do you help them to think? Which is the processes that I will be dealing with shortly, showing exactly what knowledge, what information people need in order to be able to accept change and to prepare them properly with right information, and then to move them into the stage of taking action for changing, because just talking will not be very helpful. And the next stage is that of maintenance, maintaining the momentum of change. And the second model is a 9-dimensional one, same internal foundational processes. The rejection stage it's got 9 stages, this one. The rejection stage is the same as the preconception in the other one. But what we need to be aware of is that we often reject change. We actually have a fear of change because we want continuity. We want things that we are used to. So changing and transforming, becoming a unified Africa is going to bring about some grief, because we are going to we're going to have to forego our old habits. And Nizat Terhune gives us a model for that, a grief model. we go through shock and refuse that we need to change. It is painful to want to change. We get angry when we are informed that we need to change, and we want to bargain, to short-circuit it. We get depressed when we realize that we cannot help it other than to change, and we feel very lonely. But then with some help, we can start to change and start to reconstruct our life and accept changes, and then start the process of helping each other so that we can engage in the process. We need to be trained. We have this one example of our founder here, the founder of the Basotho Nation, Kim Moshweshwe the First, who was taken for training because he needed it to change from his old habits. The next stage is to ensure that the people who are to change are actually adopting the changes, and to ensure that you stay with them, check the time, the amount of time that they are taking to change, and look at the success rate. You also need to look at, how the process is costing us. You need to look at what returns the process is giving. And then what I have is a process that I developed in 2015 for changing, which I call the holistic integrated experiential learning approach, because people have to learn. And as I said, it is painful to try and change because we have to stretch the way we think. It has got to become not the usual one. It's got 6 phases, one for preparation, for planning, then for preparation, which is similar to what we are doing now, what we'll be doing in the next session that you said we should divide this into 2. And the next one is learning how to learn together. We already started that. We are learning here as a group, and we need to keep bringing in other people to come and learn how to learn with others. And then we need to get into action for contemplation, for connecting with the universe, praying, reflecting, and translating and internalizing the processes so that we can transfer them from simple learning and cognitive knowledge into practice. One of the things that Beningi found is that even people who train others in leadership development, their focus is on imparting cognitive knowledge and not on practice. And what has been found out is that even people who have gone for leadership training only apply 1% of the lessons. So the processes that we go through here are processes that will help us to be able to implement and apply the things that we have learned. And I'll finish with this one to explain exactly how the civil learning community looks like. The civil learning community is an inclusive, we are talking about unification of Africa, which means we want to be inclusive. This type of community is a community, an inclusive group of people, fearless people, who are able to take challenges, who are responsive, ethical, and servant leaders, who also are submissive to higher powers than them. I don't know whether it is God or some people have other beliefs, but surely we do not create ourselves. So we need to be able to submit to that power that created us. We need to be able to love it. We get that through the process that I said, opening up the channels, the brain pathways for love more than the brain pathways for fear. And in that type of community, People learn how to learn together. They learn how to think better than they've been thinking, and they learn how to transform themselves. In that type of community, people learn to commit to changing. I talked about committing earlier. In that type of community, people have relations that go deeper than the usual mask of composure, because usually we pretend that we are friends when we are not, and we need to be more honest in deep relations. In this community, people commit to rejoicing together, people commit to mourning together, people commit to delighting together, people commit to taking each other's condition as theirs, being compassionate. And again, as we said, people then become ethical, effective, ethical servant leaders. And when we have gone through this process, members or people who have undergone the process will have so much energy that they do not even know the sources. They will be able to do things that they never thought they would be able to do. And then we will look at, I think, I said we would have a break here, so you'll decide whether you want us to proceed after the brief discussion, or whether you want us to take it to the next time. Because the next slides now show exactly what happens inside the brain when we go, how colonization actually repressed our brains and how we may unlock.
Right, Brother Mafole, thank you. So let's ask members here. Do you want Brother Mafole to continue, or do you want us to have a discussion now? Please, you can raise your hand. Let's use the reaction button. We can vote on that. Raise your hand if you want Brother Mafole to continue, please. Raise your hand. So I see, so we can see all those who want, you know. Yes, Pigeon.
We have only 29 minutes to the end of the class.
Yes, and I'm asking members to raise your hand if they want Brother Mafole to continue. Yeah. So
could I come in here, Brother Kwame?
Yeah, hold on, please. Let me just see how many people have their hands up. So there are three of us, three with their hands up. So does that mean those who don't have their hands up? Okay, let's see those who would like us to have the discussion and continue this presentation in 2 weeks' time. Raise your hand, please.
Could I speak here?
Yeah, hold on, please. Yes, those who have their hands up, can you put your hands down? Let's see those who want us to continue in 2 weeks' time. Okay, so it looks like we want brother Mafole to continue from the votes. From the votes I can see.
It was 4-4, Brother Kwame.
Yes, so we'll continue the presentation. If it's 4-4, that means we can't make up our minds.
No, but could I make a statement?
Yeah. Yes, you can.
I would think because of the nature of the conversation, it would be good if we chew on what was said already and then probably go to a next time for the next part. I think we would benefit more because people might forget in trying to take in all of that thing one time. Because I mean, it's serious. This is serious stuff.
But
so I would say that. No, I'm just suggesting. I mean,
yeah, I understand what I'm saying. People have voted. There is 10 out of 12 slides. His brother. Yes, Brother Mafole. Yes, Brother Pigeon.
Brother Mafole has also prepared this into a course that is paid for. So whatever he's giving us is just a prelude of a paid course that he's looking forward to people might register to it.
Yes, and he's prepared to share his slides today, and people have voted to continue. So let's hear him. Brother Mafole, can you continue, please? Thank you. And as Brother Joseph has suggested, and we will still have a whole session after the Malawi class to have the discussion, because then we'll have his presentation, we can listen to it, and then we'll have a proper discussion. Brother Bafole, continue with the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, sir. So we just looked at the characteristics of the civil learning community. That civil learning community is the foundation for what I call quality peace. And that quality peace is where everything is done to improve the living conditions and quality of life of all citizens. It is a peace where people's dignity is cherished and developed, where we also value our differences, where we find richness in diversity. It is peace where we espouse people's hope, people's confidence in themselves, people's confidence in the environment, and people's confidence in leadership and trust. And that means that leaders have got to be developed so that we do not get situations of uprisings like we were discussing at the beginning of the session about Kenya and other places. In a situation where there's quality peace, people are free of fear. In other words, they've been decolonized. And the situation of poverty becomes history. People are able to produce and to support themselves. Hey, excuse me. Second. So how then did colonization impact our brains? Again, we said our brain is divided into two. It is divided into the primitive brain, the fear brain at the back of our heads, and the higher thinking brain at the front, the prefrontal lobe or prefrontal cortex. Now, people's brains develop from the back, from birth, into the front for higher thinking, somewhere in the mid-20s. This is why it is important that we should learn and train ourselves in proper child rearing so that we can support the development of the brain, because the brain is all that we have, that we use to respond to our life situations. So this is hiding part of the presentation. When a challenge again comes to us, we quickly, blood quickly flows. As I said, the veins to the fear center get dilated and blood flows through there where we are ready to defend ourselves, either to fight, to flee, to freeze, or to appease our oppressor. And that is the current situation that we have now. Of course, it is also shared, is also delivered to the front part, but through a narrower and slower process, a narrower brain pathway to the higher thinking brain. When it goes there, we contemplate, we reflect, we analyze the situation, and only when we have come up with how to respond appropriately, the message is sent back to the fear center. If the threat was a serious threat, then the fear brain would have responded properly and defended ourselves. Maybe a lion appears. You don't want to go and think first what to do about it. You have to be in a position to respond immediately. So that is how the fear circuit helps us, saves our lives. But if the situation is not that bad, then the higher thinking brain comes back to hold the fear response and tells it, no, hold it, we are able to respond. Give us time, we respond. Then we respond properly. That is when we are using the love the love brain circuits. And that is the type of future that a unified Africa would be looking for. That is the situation that we'll be looking for when we are healed. And fortunately, even for those who are still in conflict, the processes that we are talking about here of building civil learning communities also enable us forgiveness. They enable us reconciliations, which are prerequisites for unification. But our brain is also divided, as I said, into the conscious part of the brain, the cognitive part, which controls 10% or less of learning. And this is where colonial education focuses, just so that we can be productive for their purposes. So fear, oppression, and repression, and all of these things, slavery, colonialism, apartheid, they lock the brain so that even through the education system and through religion, that we are only able to use this part in order to be able to support the interests of the colonizer. But the brain is also have the metacognitive part, higher thinking that I talked about, which helps us to be intentional about our thinking about thinking, and also learning how to learn. And to unlock that, we need to open up the circuits, the love circuits that take blood to the higher thinking brain. That is the civil learning community and decolonization. And that is a process that we need to go into. And when we open up this metacognitive domain, people are able to think of higher questions, higher issues like, who am I? Who should I be? Who are you? Why am I here on earth? What purpose am I serving? Why am I here? How do I deal with my processes? And how do I deal with others that I live with? And the processes that we go through help us to be able to open both the whole brain in terms of cognition and in terms of love and fear. And that is what we need to do. That will help us to be able to move towards the unification of Africa. And as I said, there is a process for that. And when we do it, this we have already gone through. When we do it, then it is like building a bridge across. It is like building a bridge across a valley of death. How do we rebrand? Because when you rebrand, you change yourself and you market yourself so that people can join you in your journey. In the current life, we are like living inside a valley of darkness or across it. We are pushed towards it by fear, totalitarianism, all of these colonial processes that we have been subjected to. They push us into chronic stress, into mass psychosis, and a lot of times we are not aware. Remember, I said that long-term repression also causes what they call anosognosia, where things just get hidden in the open, and we are not aware. We refuse to change. We resist change, and we get this type of situations where our countries and nations are stuck in conflict, in corruption, in crime, and we become poor. We become devastated. To be able to do that, in summary, we need to build the civil learning communities, which are like building a bridge that takes us over that valley of darkness. And what it needs is love. And as I said, we are lucky because even though the West put their own philosophers as a pedestal against ours, who they do not recognize, we are fortunate because when we talk of Ubuntu, what we learn, what we realize, and what researchers have found out is that the two people, the man Mukhomi who healed and trained the founder of the Basotho Nation, actually have the processes. So what I have done is to research into the scientific processes that can enable people to go through similar processes and come up with outcomes that Mushwesh was able to come up with. And colleagues said that they wanted to get some more information. I don't know whether Brother Pigeon, you still have copies of the paper that I prepared for the presentation, because this is not the first time I make the presentation, and I have prepared that paper. Or maybe what I could do is, because I've been updating it after a number of presentations, I've also may want to update it after my presentation with the Northwest University yesterday. So maybe sometime during the course of the week, I may be able to share an updated version. I'll also share in that paper, I'll also share the link to the chapter that I contributed to a book in the University of Witwatersrand that is being used for reviewing the education policies in South Africa and the curricula for teaching and learning in schools. So I will share those with you.
Yeah, Brother Mafole. Yeah, thank you. Brother Mafole, talk to us about your course.
The course, can I ask the organizers to share the documentation with you?
Yeah, let me, Brother Pigeon. Brother Pigeon.
Yes, Brother Kwame.
You heard Brother Mafole. Can you answer his questions, please?
I'm trying to look at the document shared.
Yeah, he's asking you, do you have his, he sent you a paper. He's asking, do you have it? Yes or no?
I can share them again. There's no problem.
Yeah, he can tell us, unless he can't find. Brother Pigeon, do you have it?
No, for now I can't find it, but I'm sure you'll send it to me. But it can't load. I have so many messages.
Okay, Brother Mafole, can you resend them to him?
Yeah, I'll resend the program when we finish here.
Yeah, because Brother Pigeon, as you know, is our head of admin, and he gets so much.
Yeah, let me request that I be allowed to update the paper for the presentation itself.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
can you tell us a bit about your course? Because Brother Pigeon mentioned you have a whole course.
Yeah, that is the document I will share. The course initially takes 3 days of workshop. It's actually work. It is this theory and more of it, and practicals that we do with participants, so that we can be able to achieve these outcomes that I've been promising here in the 3 days. So,
okay.
The other question:
where are you based?
I'm in Maseru, Lesotho.
Lesotho. Do you travel? Can you travel around Africa? Do you travel? Have you been to West Africa?
I have only been once to Ghana, but for a short period. I've been to Nairobi. I was trained in Nairobi. For a year, I've been to Uganda just for a marriage.
The reason I'm asking you is, if you are invited to Ghana to come and do this presentation to a group, is that something you'll be happy to?
I can do that, because I think what I would love to see happening is to develop more facilitators, because as it is, I'm the only one, and I don't feel happy that I'm the only one who can be able to share it.
Brother Coco, how can you not a facilitator yet? Because you always championing Brother Mafole. Brother Coco, unmute yourself and tell us, why are you not a presenter yet, or a
facilitator?
Anyway. Brother Coco has gone quiet. He says he's in a space where he can't talk. Okay, we've got Brother Mafole, thank you. Next week, we are dealing with Malawi, Chista Chizomo's country, and what's happening in Malawi. We will discuss that, how the newspapers lie, and other things. And then the following week, we shall bring this back onto back into focus for discussion. If you ask me, I would say that every slide itself requires a discussion on its own. You know, I mean, every slide is, if you like, a presentation on its own for a whole discussion. So we might do what we did with Brother Foucault, where he presented over a number of weeks until he finished. It seems to me, I don't know what others think, that we need to hear you over a couple of weeks, not just 1 week, because what we have heard seems to me to be at the heart of our unification and consensusism, if you like, as a group. You know, the slide you showed us about the civil learning community. I mean, that's what CSG is meant to be doing. We want to be a space where we think together. When we go to Brother Pigeon traveling, we raise funds amongst ourselves. When we had to renew our Zoom, we raise funds amongst ourselves. We support one another and so on. And we are not there yet, but that's what hopefully we will get to. Anyway, the time is 10 minutes to 9. So, Brother Mafole, are you happy with that, with our suggestion that you do summer presentation over a few weeks rather than just one?
Brother Kwame,
Yes, Brother Pigeon.
just to be specific, because I know Mafole, is your program 3-day program started yet, or is yet to start?
It's not yet started. They're still
You're
looking
still
for
looking,
one
you're
or
still
two
looking
more
for
people.
participants. Yeah, the participants who may be transferred to take the course. You said the course was to cost £60 or $60?
60 pounds.
And you're expecting to train now the trainers who can help facilitate the work moving forward.
Yeah, after that, then we
Okay.
help the participants who want to become trainers with how to handle the training.
But can I, as a presenters, how many days training?
Another 3-4 days maybe.
Yeah, I mean, speaking for me, I cannot do that course now. I can do it after the school holidays. But anyway, that is something we can discuss later and come to some kind of conclusion about. The time is 9 minutes to 9. Let's hear some views and bring the meeting to a close. Let's start with Brother Joseph, please.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we couldn't get this more at a timely time than now. I think it's very important. And I would be interested in training to be a facilitator if I can mobilize funds. Because I have some background in that. I mean, some of that is not new to me, but the method, the approach certainly have been a little more intense. We need more of that.
Yeah.
Some of the things he said are so true about people's resistance to change. There was a book called Change or Die. It's written by an American guy with a German name that it says change or die. And he explained that a lot of times people don't change. For instance, people with a terminal illness and so on, even though they might be able to recover and so on, the doctor tells them go home and do this, and they don't, because the process of change, which requires one, you have to have an ally, you have to have all the things, the mechanism. You can tell somebody something, but if you don't put the mechanism in which will enable them to change, doesn't happen. And I'm glad, I'm very excited about the approach of
All right, Brother Joseph, thank you. Because of time, so you want to become a presenter. So, Brother Pigeon, can we all, Brother Pigeon, maybe send out a broadcast with the information and the course, and let those who want to do it register. You might even want to set up a form, Brother Pigeon, a form that they can just say yes, and then you get information. And then Brother Mafole will then be sent that information. And anybody who joins from our CSG, we get a cut from the course. We can decide with Brother Mafole how much cut he will give us for.
We will negotiate that
our,
with the.
Sorry.
Yeah, we can negotiate that with Brother Mafole, but
Yeah,
I know.
we can negotiate. Yes.
I know Brother Coco and Sister Marie are actually having the program and all the registration details, that then I'll ask them to share with us so that we can then share with the whole broadcast list of the community. And then they also have to indicate that they are from CSG, if possible, for us to trace the people who came in through that process so that we can help.
Thank you. Let's get some more views. Let's hear from a sister. Sister Ida.
Brother Kwame.
Any views you want to share?
I don't think so at the moment. Thank you.
Okay. In the meantime, we wish you speedy recovery with your leg.
It's been 6 months, so speedy ain't coming.
Yes. Well, let us know how we can help. Yeah, and we shall be there in a flash, or some of us anyway. Sister Tapua, any views?
Not at the moment. Thank you very much.
Okay. Sister Shaza?
Yes, greetings. I think it's a good course, and yeah, that's all I have to say on this.
Thank you very much. Sister Shireen?
Greetings, everybody. Brilliant delivery, brilliant construction, and allowing us to understand the psychological damage that a lot of us are suffering from, and there is room for repair. In particular, this, especially at this time, this presentation has given me hope, because I became very disillusioned because a lot of my peers do not understand our collective, the collective fight that we need to continue on. Very much stuck in the TikToks and, you know, the me, and not the community.
Yes.
So it was very refreshing to have such an in-depth description of how we can heal ourselves and how we can realize ourselves again, which is very popular, very possible, because I did a world history course.
So Shireen, because of time, let me go around to others.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, but thank you very much. As a union person, I understand what you mean by the me, and the collective. As I speak, we are on strike. There is a solidarity strike, so I understand exactly what you mean.
Thank you.
I don't know if Sister Chizomo can speak where she still is. If not, let's go to Sister Maya.
I'm okay to speak.
Okay. Sister Chizomo, I know you are a wonderful talker. Make it very brief, yeah? Thank you. God next week on Malawi, yeah? Thank you.
Good presentation, and I'm glad we proceeded with it. But I always find it difficult to understand this front lobe, back lobe, side lobe, and right lobe stuff.
There you have
but I need to read more on it. Yes. But the rest of it, I understood the gist of it, especially the screen that's on now, and I think the other two before that, on how chronic stress, mass psychosis, conflict, corruption comes about, and fear, and all these other things.
Thank you very much, Sister Chizomo. Because of time, you made your point.
I'll stop.
That's okay. Let's Sister Myra. Any quick views? It's 2 minutes to 9.
Just that I think this is a very good start to what I see as something practical that we can implement in the diaspora. and on the continent. So it's very exciting. And thank you very much, Elder Mafole.
Yeah, thank you. Sister Joan, I know you spoke about Kenya. You might want to speak about this.
All I can say is this is a very informative presentation.
Wonderful. Sister Joanne always speaks like a lawyer. It does say more than she wants to say. Brother Paul, anything you want to share?
Oh, well, what I would say is I'm looking forward to the recording that comes from this session so that I can review that presentation and be able to really digest it further.
I agree. I'm also looking forward to it. What I think we might do is we will share the whole recording for the whole session, but I'll tell Brother Pigeon to get his because he's got someone who helps us to cut the presentation only and share that only with us who attended, and we'll put the whole presentation on YouTube as normal, but we'll cut out Brother Mafole's presentation only so that we can digest. I myself was flabbergasted. I was like, wow. And in effect, somebody mentioned repair. Sister Shireen mentioned repair. That is it. This is reparations. What we've been shown is reparations. I mean, it's amazing. I think everyone has spoken except Brother Pigeon. Brother Pigeon, what do you think?
No, I think in order to be ready for change, this is the beginning of being ready so that we can actually move towards the unification. And what you talk of reconciliation as a way of moving towards our unification is very fundamental for us. I think this is very good for us.
You know, the slide, the last slide with the Civil Learning Society, Civil Learning Group.
Community.
Civil Learning Community. What I saw there are the nationalities of Africa seated talking amongst themselves. All the nationalities, not the new colonial states. So it's very interesting. Brother Mafole, I just want to make a quick comment and then we'll bring the meeting to a close. Can you go to the first slide, please? The very first slide, slide number 1. I want to say something to back up what you shared. The very first slide. Yeah, that one. Yeah. Now, I want to just share quickly in a minute or less that how do you call them? The black cap industry in London they discovered that when people want to learn the roots of London, just as you said, that the brain grows new tissues. I mean, it's not, the brain actually grows new cells and enables the learners to learn the roads. So before that, the cells were in there before, but because they wanted to learn, the brain literally grows new cells, and they discovered this in scientifically. So what it means is that back in the day, what you said, Africans, we can grow new cells for unification. Sister Shired was saying it's so liberating. Yes, it is. Anyway, I'll stop there.
Just one question. Just one question.
Yes,
is this because I'm trying to get hold of Mr. Mafuli after. Is that 266 the opening code?
Yes, sir.
Okay, which country is that?
Yes, miss, because she's a lady.
Lesotho.
Oh, Lesotho.
Yeah, he's in Lesotho, brother Sister Chisomo.
Okay.
Thank you. Brother Pigeon, can you close us, please, with the announcements as well? And then, on behalf of all of us, thank you, Madam Mafole, for a wonderful presentation. I think you've lived up to expectations, as Brother Coco always is always letting us know that you are the man.
He overrates me.
Thank you. Yeah, Brother Pigeon, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Kwame, and all those who have attended today. Indeed, this is a very informative session, and thank you, Brother Mafole, for this. we've been hosting Brother Mafole also in other sessions. Some of us don't know. We've been co-hosting sometimes Brother Mafole sessions together with Brother Coco on Fridays, some of the times before, and he has presented on some many other things. We look forward still to work with them, and we'll ensure that we help where we can as a class, so that we collaborate and ensure that we move together towards what we aspire as a team, which is the unification, liberation, and development of Africa. So thank you very much. I'll be sharing the recordings, and we look forward to the information Brother Coco will share with me tomorrow, so that we can give all details to those who want to start registering or being part of this. I'm looking forward also if I'll be part of this probably, and so that we can move together. So this coming Thursday, we will continue with our Consciousness main philosophical class, where we do the reading of Kwame Nkrumah's book, which is also very, very enlightening, because what Nkrumah wrote in his book 60 years ago is still a guiding principle to us to date. If you can listen to Nkrumah's, if you can read the works and critically analyze and share your thinking as what you do, you can be able to find some ideological and philosophical tool in this struggle for liberation and unification of Africa. Next Saturday, as been announced, I will work together with the Sister Chisomo to present the situation in Malawi and in a proper context towards our unification as a continent. And I'll have this recording be shared by Monday. Before end of Monday, we will have the recordings in 2 versions. In main recording will be shared in our YouTube channel, but this will be shared as a document recording in only the presentation site to only members who have attended. They have taken the note of the list, and I have contact of everybody here. So thank you once again for your attendance today, and we look forward to work together. Thank you very much, Brother Ndate Mafole. Ndate is Elder Mafole. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, everybody. Brother Kwame?
Yeah, that's it.
Asante sana ndugu.